Hello, and welcome to this coronavirus update. I am Karen Locke-Culp. I am the host of the We Turned Out Okay podcast, and I'm also the creator of WeTurnedOutOK.com. And I've been bringing you these. This is the fourth one, at least by my calculations. I've been bringing you these over the last week or two because as things have gone sideways, I have wanted to try and be helpful for you. And you can tell I'm recording this. It may show up on the podcast at some point. There's an interesting little bit of dust on my microphone. I use an old, not that you really need to know this, but I made I'm a knitter and I made this, it's like a sock that I made, I don't know, a long time ago. And I use it as a dust cloth for the microphone. And sometimes little, bits of the sock come off, just kind of come off and stick to the microphone. So anyway, you don't need to know any of that, but that's how things are going around here. We're now, talking about all kinds of crazy stuff, including things like knitted socks that I knitted. I am thinking of you because we are, I think, pretty well, most people anyway in the US are now in are in different circumstances than we were even just a week or so ago, where we are all being told to stay in our homes, not go out. Schools are closed, stores are closing, places of business are closing. I have some friends who are sort of considered, they're in businesses that are essential, and so they are still, trying to work from home or go out into the world. My son and I are self-quarantined. Which also means that my husband, Ben, is self-quarantined because we came from high country Colorado just earlier this week. And so we've got 10 more days of self-quarantine, and we're doing okay. It's been, we've been watching a lot of Star Wars together, and I have been perfecting my sourdough bread recipe. And I have been taking a lot of comfort in being helpful, particularly for you if you're watching, but especially for the members of the Ninja Parenting community, which is the online community that I run, private coaching community for parents who are struggling with the raising of their kids if you just need any kind of support, right? And right now, basically what I did last night was I decided, so if you're listening and you are watching and you are a member of the Ninja Parenting community already, you will know this, I hope, but you might be hearing it for the first time. We are doing live members only calls every single week. I want to check in with you every week. So you'll be getting emails about that. If you go into the community, you will be able to see that. That we're doing them every week. And I changed up the format. So I decided to start using a Zoom call format rather than I had been using sort of a YouTube Live with a chat. And what I really wanted was for us to all feel like we were in this virtual meeting room together. And that's exactly how it felt. Last night's call was wonderful. And we got a lot of good questions, a lot of really, really good questions. So pretty well everyone on the call was confined to home, not so much in self-quarantine necessarily. I think I was the only one who was like that. But schools are closed and you're being told not to go anywhere, and all that kind of stuff is happening. And so we all brought collectively kind of a lot of stress and worries and frustrations to this call. And I wanted to address one in particular today. And that was one of our moms, one of the parents in the Ninja Parenting community, detailed what her life is like right now, trying to work from home with a 4-year-old child. She's a single mom. And so she's got this job that she's trying to do the best she can with. And it means that she's on the phone. It means that there are sporadic conference type meetings. It means that she cannot always be there to, she can see her son, right? She can have him in view, but she can't always speak with him and hold him and play with him like he would want. And her question was, how do we get through weeks or potentially months like this? And you can just hear the fear there. I know I could. As soon as I read this question, I just thought, oh my goodness. I mean, hugs were my first thought. So hugs right away. If you are feeling like this, that it's almost unbearable to consider these months and weeks. I'm right there with you. I just want you to know I'm standing with you, and I came up with a couple of ideas that seemed viable to this Ninja Parenting community member, and so hopefully they will seem that way to you too. First of all, we talked about looking at what is right in front of us rather than sort of telescoping down the road. It is possible that we'll be doing this for weeks or months. Probably weeks is a certainty. Schools are canceled and all those kinds of things, certainly for the next couple weeks. But maybe we won't be doing it for months. And if we worry about doing it for months and then it doesn't come to pass, well, we've worried about it for no reason. And if it does come to pass, we'll confront it when we're there, right? Like, so that's basically the beauty of looking at what is happening right now and dealing with that means that we don't have to worry about what's coming up down the road, and we can instead try to make this moment, this time, okay. And so I wanted you to kind of know about that. Like the first thing that we can do is look at what's right in front of us. The second thing that we can do that I thought of was we could do some sort of mindfulness or even a few deep breaths. So my 15-year-old who I was in Colorado with, we were both sick. We were watching the world unfold, in many scary ways around us. He told me about a kind of breathing that has been really, really helpful for me. And it's 3 deep breaths to go from fight or flight to rest and digest. And he was taught that by a yoga instructor of his. And so if we think about what it means to truly take a deep breath, so inhaling and feeling our lungs expand and feeling that breath kind of in our body, and then exhaling completely, and again, feeling the breathing, feeling the air come out of us, and then doing that on repeat 3 times. If we can really stay focused on that breath, that is a kind of mindfulness. It's the basics of mindfulness. And that can help us go from fight or flight to rest and digest. And when we are resting, we can think more clearly. Our food can digest, so we don't end up with some of the symptoms of anxiety that tend to happen with our digestive system. I know this has happened over the last week or so. It's gotten so bad that I'm not going to, share like details or anything like that, but my digestive system has been a little bit messed up. And it's clear that it's not a bug I've picked up. It's more nerves. It's really been nerves. And so taking these 3 breaths, going from fight or flight to rest and digest has been really helpful to keep in mind. An app that we talked about last night in our Ninja Parenting Community call, live members only call, was one from the VA, the Veterans Administration, which is called Mindfulness Coach or Mindfulness Coaching. Hold on, let me see if I can tap on that link in the Ninja Parenting Community. I can. It's called Mindfulness Coach. And it's a free app that the Veterans Administration puts out so that veterans or anyone can use it and try to be mindful. And I actually found out about this through my husband, Ben, who he's the 22-time winner of the Husband of the Year Award. He's the voice that you hear at the top of the podcast. He's also the editor of the podcast, so he makes it sound amazing. He's the producer of it. And his doctor recommended to him a month or 2 ago that mindfulness is a good idea. And Ben found this app, and he's been using it pretty well every day ever since, and it's been helping him stay calm in the wake of. So I know I've shared about this on the show. I know I've shared about it in the Ninja Parenting Community, and I believe I've shared about it on the show. Ben became unemployed in late January, and so that was a real seismic shift in our home. We are looking at it as a good thing. It's kind of the golden handcuffs are off after 23 years, and we get to make some choices for ourselves. However, it has produced a lot of anxiety, and so this Mindfulness Coach app has been very, very helpful for that. And one of the one of the mindfulness exercises that Ben told me about the other night was this: you were instructed to look at a picture, really deeply look at a picture for 5 minutes. And the picture that Ben chose, he went to our wedding album, and he chose a picture of us at our wedding with my parents on one side and his mom on the other side. Ben's father has been deceased for a long, long time, since he was a child. So it was my parents, Ben's mom, and us, then the two of us standing in this picture. And that's what Ben studied for a full 5 minutes. And I just think that's so neat that you could like take the time over something like that. That's developing mindfulness. And so that, hopefully that could be helpful for you. However, whatever your circumstances are, anytime we can remember that we're in this moment and thinking about dealing with what is right in front of us. I hope that would be helpful for you. And then the other thing that I wanted to address today was again and again in our call and in the conversations I'm having with you, with Ninja parents, is this idea of feeling guilty. We are feeling guilty because our kids are getting so much screen time. We are feeling guilty because we're supposed to be working and taking care of them, and we're not doing either one particularly well. We feel guilty because we can't know what's coming, and so we can't prepare our kids. At least that's how it feels, right? If you are feeling any of those things, I just want to give you permission to not feel guilty for them. Like, this is a time when kids like they'll look back on this. I mean, this is a really serious, interesting is one way to look at it, moment in time, right? So a year from now, our kids are going to be like, oh my gosh, do you remember when we got to watch all the screen time we wanted, and we had to stay home and all that kind of stuff. And it sounds funny to say it, but it will be looked upon, it will likely be looked upon with a little bit of fondness, like, because you're not at that point, provided things are back to normal, you're not going to be like, oh sure, have at it, 6 hours of screen time in a row, no problem. So your kids will be like, oh, remember when we could do that? And hopefully at that point, you'll be able to look back and go, yeah, that did happen. And now we're out of it and it's okay. You know what I mean? So if your children end up watching tons of screen time, the one thing I would ask, and we did talk about this last night as well, is please make sure that they are not watching YouTube without you physically watching with them, not even in the room. Because you could be in the room and focusing on something else and miss something upsetting or awful that happens on YouTube. YouTube cannot be trusted. And I have this from Devorah Heitner, who is past guest on the show. She's a real friend to the podcast and to me. She is a children's media literacy and screen time specialist. She's written a book called Screenwise. And when Devorah Heitner says to me, do not let your kids watch YouTube alone under a certain age. I think the age is probably 8 or 9. And after that, teach them media literacy so that they know what they are watching. 8, 9, 10, even years old. Then you don't let them watch YouTube on their own. So YouTube is not a choice, as one of our members succinctly and beautifully said last night. She said, yep, my son knows that YouTube is not a choice. Make YouTube not a choice unless you are physically right there with them watching it as well. And paying attention to it. You need to be paying attention to it. So, but other than that, screen time, anything appropriate that you feel is appropriate is I think we all need to relax into this a little bit, and know that it will end and we will get back to normal. So don't feel guilt about that. I completely understand the idea of feeling guilty because you're trying to juggle so many things at once. And I would suggest, I guess, really the same, that you try hard to not feel guilty about it, to know that like this is a moment in time, it's a blip, and once we're over it, things will return to normal. But in the meantime, trying to stay positive, checking in as often as you can with your kids, but knowing that that you don't have to feel guilty because you are answering to so many masters right now. And I think as you can, trying to come up with a schedule that allows for frequent check-ins, and that allows you to still get the most important, crucial work done. And then spending as much snuggly and wonderful time with them as you can, sort of in the after hours and between times and on weekends. And hopefully also being able to rely on others. I mean, even I talked with a couple of single moms in the Ninja parenting community last night, and they were just so thankful for the people in their lives who were available to look after their kids at least some of the time. And I'm so appreciative of you if you can do that for kids. And if you are in a situation where your kids need to be looked after by others, then the fact that you have others who could look after them, I think, is really, really wonderful. And so I'm grateful for you for that as well. So, all right, this I hope this has helped. I'm just I want to try and sum it up. So the question that we got in the Ninja Parenting community was, how do we get through weeks or potentially months like this? And the response that we came up with were to, number one, focus on what is happening right now, right in front of us, instead of sort of telescoping out months or weeks, because when we do that, we can often think catastrophically, and that can be detrimental to what's happening now, and it might not even happen in the future. So thinking about what's happening right here, right now. Thinking about increasing our mindfulness. So taking 3 deep breaths, even if that's all you can do, if this is the one thing that you get from today's video, or if you're listening to the podcast, that's great. And then there's a mindfulness app that is free from the Veterans Administration called Mindfulness Coach. You should look that up. I will provide a link to it in the notes for this as well, so you don't have to go anywhere to look it up. And I'm giving you permission to not feel guilty, because the guiltier you feel at the things that you can't quite do perfectly right now, the tougher, the more stress that causes. And what we're trying to do is alleviate stress right now. So hopefully that helps. We did talk about a lot of other. We talked about like specific strategies for scheduling your days and for dealing with it when you have a kid who's like, who wants to be touching you 24/7, and now you are in close proximity 24/7, and you just kind of can't stand that. If you've got somebody watching your child who has a different discipline strategy than you, we talked about like, how do you handle that? Is it okay? So Ninja Parents, I'll provide the link in the show notes to this particular call. We're doing our calls in a new format now, which I'm really excited about. They're Zoom calls. I think, forgive me if I've already talked about this in here. It's been a long day, been a long week. So the Zoom calls mean that we're in a virtual meeting room together, which is just so enjoyable and such fun. So if you're in the Ninja Parenting community, come and grab that. If you're not yet in the Ninja Parenting community, I have decided to offer friends and family membership, which is $1 for your first month and $29 each month thereafter that you're consecutively in the membership. In case you need some of that extra support. It felt so good to be in there with this community last night. When I announced that we were going to be doing live calls each week, I mean, the smiles were just massive and made me so happy to see. If I can be helpful to you and you need that kind of support, come and join the Ninja Parenting community. It's $1 for your whole first month. Give it a try. So I can't refund money, but you can cancel at any time. So there's really not a risk here. And when you join, you can be feeling better. You can be feeling less guilty. You can be feeling like you've got a plan for the time that you're spending with your kids, which is so much time right now, a lot more than we're typically used to. So if I can be helpful for that, just let me know, or email me, Karen@WeTurnedOutOK.com. I'm happy to get on a call with you, answer questions, do stuff like that. So and again, if you're in the Ninja Parenting community, come on into the forums. We've got a lot going on in there for you right now. Including, I just actually set up a whole coronavirus resources forum. So in addition to all the other stuff we've been talking about, we've got that as well. All right, I am going to finish up. I'm just wishing you, whether you're in NPC or whether you are a listener to the show or you're watching this on video, I'm just so appreciative that you're here with me. I am going to try and do everything I can to get us through this, feeling okay. And I'm really thinking about you, and I'm sending as many huge virtual hugs as I possibly can, going right through these airwaves and right to you. Hang in there. We will get through this together. We are getting through it together. And I will talk to you soon. All right, here on with the podcast. If you're still, if you're listening, and I'm going to wrap up this video now. So thank you so much for watching and listening. I'm Karen Locke-Culp of WeTurnedOutOK.com, and we will talk to you soon. Okay, bye.